The opinions and views expressed by individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of this network, their group, or other organization they may be involved with.
I'm looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of Tuesday evening news. Tuesday evening
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Psychedelic Report for this Tuesday, the 28th, episode 204 here on Okay, the Mini News Podcast. Focus on psychedelic masses being reported on Main Street. Holy shit, that weed reported on mainstream media. Shout out to the guys at Dead Ringer for Kirkland Lake, Ontario, for the awesome intro track, originally recorded by Moody Blues, with some customized changes for our show. Whew. I am joined by my amazing joint host, Tara Simpson, along with the one and only Buffalo Marius, who has chosen all of our stories for us. Hello, Tara.
Well, hello, hobbies, and hello, everyone. I'd like to take a minute to introduce Bufo. He's our Sonoran desert toad, or Colorado mud toad. Did you know he emits DMT from his skin? And while that sounds like fun, park rangers would like to remind everyone, please don't lick that toad.
Oh, no. Yeah. Okay. So, my DMT time was a herb, not a toad. So there must be different ways to get DMT extractions.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like sustainable harvest.
Yeah. Let's jump right into it because I feel frisky. So the first article is oh shit, I'm all confused now. Oh yeah, the farm. Wait, no, this is the psychedelic one. Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. The one I have to read on my phone. Okay, comes from hometownsource.com. Psychedelic mushrooms could be legalized for therapy in Minnesota. And this is Kendra Mobillo report for Minnesota.
Oh, I got it working. Perfect. So let me just, I was having a hard time bringing it up on my phone, but I got it. So, veterans dealing with health issues, including post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, substance use disorder, anxiety, and chronic pain, could be treated with psychedelic mushrooms if a bill heard in a Minnesota House committee on April 15th becomes law. The bill would authorize limited use of psilocybin, a hallucinogen found in some mushrooms. Under the legislation proposed by Representative Max Reimer, Republican North Branch, psilocybin could be used therapeutically for individuals 21 years old. Enrolled individuals would have to meet eligibility requirements and be approved to take part in the program. The Minnesota Office of Cannabis Management would oversee the program. Reimer said the psilocybin would be administered in approved medical facilities or an approved private residence. No more than 1,000 patients would be enrolled during the first 3 years of the program. Jamie Croyle, director of Psychedelic Access Project, a volunteer-led program, that advocates for the re-evaluation of psychedelics in the state, said psilocybin can change people's lives. Thousands of Minnesota veterans are living with post-traumatic stress disorder, and many are not finding relief through existing treatments, Croyle said. Reimer said psilocybin used for the program would be different from mushrooms used by people seeking to get high. This is controlled. This is professional, Reimer said. The program basically establishes a framework for our state to apply this important therapeutic to veterans who might still be suffering from these specific ailments. Reimer's bill would change psilocybin in Minnesota law from a Schedule 1 drug to a substance that has high potential for abuse and no accepted medicinal use to Schedule 4 reclassification that notes a lower abuse risk and allows psilocybin to be prescribed for therapeutic use.
So patients, facilitators, or suppliers who intentionally give or sell psilocybin to people not registered in the program could be charged with a felony. So don't think you're covered under this shit unless you got like papers. According to the bill, so individuals could go off to jail for 2 years, be charged with $3,000 fine or both. He says he wants an alternative to a repetitive cycle of traditional medicine for veterans. Representative Andy Smith, the DFL Rochester, said the legislation will help feel that they have exhausted all other options for treatment. But Bornals and Fairmont said he needs to be more proof before he can support the bill. But once he knew for sure this is a good thing, that this is not next wonder drug, that the addict will entire generation of service members, they'll be on board with it. But before then, I will always be a no. And that's what Olson said. 3 years ago, the state set up a psychedelic medicine task force in the Minnesota Department of Health. In 2025 report, the task force recommended that the legislators set up a state-regulated program for the therapeutic administration of psilocybin-containing mushrooms. Dr. Jessica Nielsen, chair of the task force, says she personally knows 2 veterans who died by suicide in the past year. Dr. Jessica Nielsen, chair of the task force, says she perfectly, I already said that. Currently, indications suggest treatment-resistant depression, end-of-life distress, substance use disorders, including alcohol abuse and tobacco, are better treated with psilocybin than the currently available treatments, Nielsen said. The bill was later for possible inclusion in a larger bill later in the session. And this is a report from Minnesota and a project of the University of Minnesota Upper School of Journalism. So,
yeah, pretty cool. Some things are happening down there, eh?
Yeah, so that's Minnesota. That's close to Canada. They actually had juicance to it. That's kind of cool. But these are just like task force and just start. Let's wonder the people get the damn shit.
Right. How much money do we need to waste on task force and committee when we could actually be doing real hands-on treatment and getting the results, right?
Right. Man, I'm hanging out by some of these vets, and I got this bag of mushrooms. This is just acting, but as a puppet, I can walk around with mushrooms legally in places, and I just want to give them to these vets, man. Like, hey, dude, I feel like giving you mushrooms. Here you go. But you can't just walk around giving people mushrooms.
No. Even here in Canada, I mean, we can give up to an ounce of cannabis to somebody, but we can't do that with mushrooms yet. So
farmexec.com has this article that says FDA awards priority voucher to Compass for psychedelic therapy and treatment-resistant depression. The key takeaways is rolling NDA review enables modular submissions, while the CMPV may accelerate FDA administration timelines to 1 to 2 months post filing, with changing approval thresholds. And phase 3 results in over 100,000 TRD patients reportedly show rapid in at least 6 months, 1 or 2 doses. Wow, man, this is really cool.
Mm-hmm. So the FDA has granted Compass Pathway with a rolling review for a new drug application for its investigational psychedelic therapy COMP360 in a treatment-resistant depression, while also awarding the NDA with a Commissioner's National Priority Voucher. Wow, so things are moving with COMP360. We've reported on this in the past as it's been developing. So this is kind of cool. The designation could shorten the review of COMP360, a psilocybin candidate, to 1 to 2 months after filing, according to the company, while leaving evidentiary standards unchanged. The decision reflects growing regulatory attention to novel approaches in TRD, in which existing therapies often fall short for patients who have not responded to multiple prior treatments. As the most advanced company in the classic psychedelic field, Compass has generated positive data from 2 large, well-controlled phase 3 clinical trials, said Kabir Nath, Compass CEO, in a press release. Based on the strength of our data, the FDA granted us rolling NDA submission and review. Importantly, while the CNPV may provide process efficiencies and accelerated review timelines, the NDA submission must still meet the FDA's established standards of clinical evidence, scientific rigor, and regulatory compliance. We are confident we meet these standards. The update places a late-stage psychedelic-based depression program closer to a possible FDA approval in the market, where patients with inadequate responses to standard antidepressant treatments have limited options. It also signals that the federal regulators may be willing to use expedited administrative tools for selected neuropsychiatric programs. Wow.
Yeah, so what does the FDA decision mean for COMP360 in treatment-resistant depression? Well, that means rolling review, allow access sections of NDA to be submitted and reviewed as they completed rather than waiting for the full dossier. According to the FDA, the CNPV does not alter the regulatory bar for approval. That distinction is important for drug developers and investors assessing timelines. Administration acceleration can reduce uncertainty around review mechanics, but it does not resolve questions about clinical effect size, durability, safety, monitoring, manufacturing readiness, or labeling scope. And how does phase 3 COMP360 data affect the biopharma treatment-resistant depression landscape? According to the announcement, COMP360, a proprietary synthetic psilocybin formulation, has produced positive results in 2 phase 3 studies involving more than 1,000 participants with TRD. The company described the studies as large as well-controlled, adding that the program showed highly statistically significant findings with a clinically meaningful effect. The company said effects may emerge within 1 day after the administration, may last at least 6 months in patients, achieving a clinical meaning response after 1 or 2 doses, according to the Compass. In terms of safety, the company reported that most treatment-emergent adverse events, even mild or moderate, most resolved within 24 hours. Why is treatment-resistant depression a significant pharmaceutical market and public health target? Well, you're going to tell them that, and I'm going to smoke this bowl because it's the last paragraph.
Yeah. So today's regulatory action follows a new executive order earlier this week from the Trump administration aiming to accelerate research and regulatory review of psychedelic therapies for mental health conditions. The decision signaled a potential shift in how emerging treatments for disorders such as post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, and depression are evaluated in the United States. Today's order will ensure that people suffering from debilitating symptoms might finally have a chance to reclaim their lives and lead happier life, Trump said on Monday. The announcement also reflects growing interest in psychedelic-based therapeutics across the biopharmaceutical sector, where several companies are advancing clinical programs targeting mental health disorders that have historically been difficult to treat. Although early and mid-stage data have showed promise, regulatory pathways remain uncertain, and questions around long-term safety, durability of effect, and appropriate clinical frameworks continue to shape the field. Depression remains one of the leading causes of disability worldwide, and the subset of patients with treatment-resistant illness carries disappropriate clinical and economic burdens. Compass cited an estimate of about 4 million people in the United States living with TRD, among those with major depressive disorder. It also noted higher rates of residual symptoms, comorbidities, mortality, and suicide risk compared with non-resistant major depressive disorder. Existing treatments for TRD may include augmented strategies, neuromodulation, or supervised administration models, each with operational and reimbursement implications. The new entrant with a differentiated administration paradigm could influence site of care planning, provider training, and payer evidence demands. Patients with TRD are often endure years of persistent suffering with limited options, and the need for meaningful innovation for these patients has never been more urgent. We are well advanced in our commercial preparations, and the CNPV could further accelerate momentum towards bringing our transformative treatment, if approved, to patients who have been waiting far too long, Nath said. And I would agree with that. They have been waiting too long already. What are the main limitations, regulatory questions, and next steps for psilocybin drug development? The principal next step is completion and filing of the NDA under the rolling review framework. Even with a shortened post-filing review clock, approval will depend on the agency's assessment of clinical evidence, product quality, and overall benefit risk. Additional unanswered questions include the practice structure of administration, monitoring requirements, scalability across treatment settings, and payer response if approved. So it looks like they're getting closer and closer, and we've been following that over the last year or two since they went into like first phase trials and so on.
Yeah. Well, and everything's hitting the ground running now ever since Trump did last week, did the FDA reclassification with everything. And he did the study for ibogaine and the different psychedelics and stuff, and we covered that with Ron. And man, this is just I wonder if this FDA approval is because of that. It
may have
because of the
right.
Yeah, but oh man, so much stuff going on all over the place. SpectrumNews1.com has an article about Wisconsin, and it's a Medical College of Wisconsin lab researches impact on psychedelics on the brain. in Milwaukee. Janelle Lanham and Emma Bonewell are researching how psychedelics impact the brain. Lanham is a past postdoctoral researcher, and Bonewell is a PhD student at Medical College of Wisconsin. I'm reading it. You should be reading it.
That's all right. What we study is when you take a psychedelic, where does it go? Said Lanham. What does it do? What receptors does it activate? And where in your brain and body? Part of their research is looking at how psychedelics can treat those with mood disorders or battling addiction. I think in this lab, we're really interested in how different psychedelics may be better suited for those indications, said Bonewell. You know, some are more rapid acting, some are not. We also have these non-hallucinogenic analogs of these drugs. Bonewell and Lanham reported to John McCorvey, who is an associate professor of cell biology, neurobiology, and anatomy at the MCW. He said psychedelics can benefit some patients compared to certain antidepressants like selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. They actually activate a cascade of pathways and cause increased neuroplasticity through the brain, said McCorvey. One of those hypotheses about whether they're rapid acting, they don't take weeks to work. Pretty much, they work almost immediately. And most importantly, you don't have to take them as often as an SSRI or other types of antidepressants. McCorvey said clinical trials are underway for psychedelics. In the meantime, his lab will continue researching what he believes is the future of treatment. So how can we optimize these compounds and be more efficacious and then also safer? Has been something we have been that's been really exciting, said Bonewell, contributing to research that can one day help those needing treatment for different conditions. There are so many people looking at this all over the world, said Lanham. I do think that we contribute really good, solid molecular foundation to a lot of science that's out there.
Amen. That was a good story. I like that.
Yeah, and there's a little video I think that goes along with this. So
yeah, let's play that. Thank you, Kim.
At the Medical College of Wisconsin, there's a research lab dedicated to studying how psychedelics can treat mood disorders and addiction. Janelle Lanham and Emma Bonewell are researching how psychedelics impact the brain. Lanham is a postdoctoral researcher and Bonewell is a PhD student at the Medical College of Wisconsin.
What we study is when you take a psychedelic, where does it go? What does it do? What receptors does it activate, and where are they in your brain and body?
Part of their research is looking at how psychedelics can treat those with mood disorders or battling addiction.
I think in this lab, we're really interested in how different psychedelics might be better suited for those indications. Some are more rapid acting, some are we also have these non-hallucinogenic analogs of these drugs.
Bonewell and Lanham report to John McCorvey. McCorvey is an associate professor of cell biology, neurobiology, and anatomy at the MCW. He says psychedelics can benefit some patients compared to certain antidepressants like SSRIs, which stands for selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors.
They actually activate a cascade of pathways and cause increased neuroplasticity throughout the brain. And that's one of the hypotheses about why they're rapid acting. They don't take weeks to work. Pretty much they work almost immediately. And more importantly, you don't have to take them as often as an SSRI or other types of antidepressants.
McCorvey says clinical trials are underway for psychedelics. In the meantime, his lab will continue researching what he believes is the future of treatment.
So how can we optimize these compounds to be more efficacious and then also safer? Has been something that's been really exciting.
There's so many people looking at this all over the world. I do think that we contribute a really good, solid molecular foundation to a lot of the science that's out there.
Contributing to the research that one day can help those needing treatment for different conditions. In Milwaukee, Abby Taylor, Spectrum News.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And wow, man, how awesome, dude. It's that's where we came from up north area, and we like seeing that. Minnesota, Wisconsin, everything's embracing it now, and that's pretty decent. I just hope it stays the medicinal aspect and we don't lose interest. Anyways.
Yeah.
That brings us to medication time.
That's right, folks. It's time to pay some bills. So stay tuned for a word from some of our amazing sponsors, and then we'll return with more articles Bufo has chosen making mainstream media news.
Back in 4 minutes and 20 seconds here on the Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network.
Dirty Dave, award-winning cultivator for over 4 decades. Dirty Dave, prized genetics fueled by advanced nutrients, original OG organics. Dirty Dave, award-winning products available at these fine establishments. Ask your shop to carry Dirty Dave. Contact us at dirtiesdoggies@gmail.com.
Join us for NOK Network monthly specials, 12 months a year, movie nights, spotlights on entertainment, and live on location coverage. Stay up to date about upcoming programming by subscribing to NOK Network on Rumble, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, Twitch, and Facebook. Check out our webpage at www.noknetwork.com.
Hey, hi, my name is John Mark, aka Sublimator Warrior, and I would like to welcome you to Smoke Signal in Tyendinaga.
One dab make your whole dome drip sweat. One dab make the homies all dip set.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Ooey, ooey, gooey, that's a sticky dab. Sticky dab. Might just have to put this one on Instagram.
Smoke signals. Tie
Go
Naga.
and hold it in, feel it in your wrist.
Smoke signals. Naga.
Check us out in Tyndonega. 55 Highway 49 in Tyndonega. It's on the res, and we're open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week.
Now we get back to the show.
And we're back from our medication session live here on Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network. And I think we've lost hobbies. So in that case, we have another set of stories coming at you from the realm of psychedelic medicine. So let's get at it. And this next article comes to us from healthcare.utah.edu. And it's Utah authorizes state-funded psychedelic research for veterans with PTSD. And this was written April 24th of this year. Utah has taken a cautious but nationally significant step into psychedelic science. On March 19th, Governor Spencer Cox signed House Bill 390 with Veterans Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder Clinical Research Amendment authorizing a state-funded clinical study of psychedelic-assisted therapy for veterans with treatment-resistant post-traumatic stress disorder. The law does not legalize psychedelic therapy or open public access. Instead, it creates a narrowly defined, tightly regulated research pathway centered at Huntsman Mental Health Institute at the University of Utah. House Bill 390 positions Utah in a unique policy space. While states such as Oregon and Colorado have pursued broader access models for psilocybin therapy, Utah has opted for a conservative evidence-first approach, a clinical trial overseen by institutional review boards and federal regulators designed specifically to evaluate safety and feasibility in a veteran population. The bill authorizes research involving 3 investigational compounds, MDMA, psilocybin, and 5-MeO-DMT, administered with a structured therapeutic protocol that includes preparation sessions, supervised dosing, and post-session integration therapy. The study will focus on veterans whose post-traumatic stress disorder has not responded to existing FDA-approved medications or evidence-based psychotherapies. There's a huge unmet need, said Benjamin Lewis, MD, an associate professor of psychiatry at the University of Utah and a researcher at the Institute. Welcome back, Hobbies.
Thank you. We did a damn hit, and I kept on waiting my turn. I'm like, come on, Mr. Hobbies, I gotta go. Right. So, HB 390 was sponsored by Representative Jennifer Daly Provost and Senator Kurt Kulmar, and was shaped in collaboration with noted psychedelics therapy researchers Anya Oregnichvit and Amaram Kaya. Unlike earlier legislative efforts focused on clinical rollout, Lewis is slated to do the study's principal investigator said the bill was intentionally written as regulated research trial. This legislation provides for a clinical trial with IRB, DEA, and FDA oversight, he said. The goal is to establish safety and feasibility first. Can this be done safely in this population, and is it acceptable to veterans? And the state has allocated $1 million to support the study, with the possibility of additional federal and child funding and grant-based support. The total number of veterans enrolled in trial will depend on the amount of available funding. Beyond symptom reduction, the study aims to examine how physical psychedelic assisted therapy may work at a biological level. We'll be looking at PTSD symptoms, but also mechanical outcomes. Lewis said that includes brain activity, psychosocial physiological measures, and other indicators that help us understand what is actually driving therapeutic change. Lewis always sees brighter implications for Utah's role in shaping national policy. This is the Stone taking ownership of a serious problem among its veterans, he said. It's about generating data that lawmakers can rely on and approaching this thoughtfully and conservatively. While the study itself may be small, Lewis believes HB 390 lays critical groundwork, even if only a limited number of veterans participate. It sets stage for future research and future treatment directions, he said. It's an important first step.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool that Utah's advancing some of this to help veterans. That's awesome.
And I keep saying every time I see Utah, like, and they've been fighting. This is like bill number 372.
Yeah. Well, and Utah tends to be a much more like conservative prohibition type area, right? So this is kind of cool that they're opening that door.
Yeah. And so that brings me back to Wisconsin. So Wisconsin has WKOW.com. And Wisconsin researchers are excited about psychedelic drug order, but worry about high-cost therapist shortage. And this is written by Ryan Lynch.
Yeah, so UW-Madison researchers are celebrating a new executive order that from President Donald Trump that expedites FDA approval for psychedelic treatments for conditions like depression and PTSD. Paul Hudson from UW-Madison School of Pharmacy, who has studied psychedelics for mental health for years, says the new executive order will not only expedite FDA approvals, but may help secure state funding for their research. Researchers here say they're excited about the move, but hope mental health professionals and other medical providers are ready for the demand they expect to see. We don't really know what it is about these psychedelics that make them so effective in so many people, but it's an exciting place to be right now, Hudson said. His research involves giving patients psychedelics like psilocybin, overseen by 2 mental health professionals. However, Hudson said there's not enough of those professionals. We're struggling with how to take what seems to be a very effective drug itself and incorporate it into our mental health processes here, Hudson said. CNN reported that ibogaine is the only drug mentioned by name in the executive order. Ibogaine has been linked to several deaths, though the cause, whether the drug or underlying conditions, is unclear. And I mean, we do know that ibogaine does have contraindications with especially opioid medications, which some people are using ibogaine to cure their addiction. So they have to be clean and off of those medications. Like there's some protocols that need to be followed, as well as cardiac risk. So there are interventions and tests and things that need to be taken into consideration for sure with ibogaine. But if it's done right, it can be done safely. And we do know that.
Oh, yeah. So, where was I? Oh, CNN reported that ibogaine is the only drug mentioned by name in the executive order. Ibogaine has been linked to several deaths, though the cause, whether the drug or underlying conditions, is unclear. While Hudson celebrates the progress, he acknowledged the challenges high demand could create, including high costs for both the drug and the personnel needed to monitor treatment. Hudson said he expects the FDA to approve psilocybin for medical use by the end of the year.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. They're working on things down there too.
Yeah, so I volunteer myself as a puppet to take medicines in the name of science.
Absolutely. Sign me up.
But this next article, this is my disclaimer. So this next article is a very informative thing. It was written in July 2023, but it's just an informal guide. I'm not suggesting you run out and do what it says, but this was off of SatisfyRunning.com, Possessed Magazine, Psychedelic Cacti, A Guide to the Desert High. And well, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so this is really cool because I have a special kind of piqued interest in some of these psychedelic cactuses. Just something that's kind of called to me that I've yet to try, but really want to. So this is really cool. Picture it. You're in the desert with no food, no water, and no idea where you are. You're lost and you're almost definitely going to die. Yuck, but there's good news. You've read Possessed Magazine, Getting High in the Desert. So at the very least, you can have fun tripping balls with your spirit animal before taking your final parched breath. Believe it or not, the sandy wilderness is loaded with mescaline-rich cacti for you to gobble down in the noonday sun, but you got to know what to look for. Before we get into that, though, please note this is by no means a definitive guide. It's just what we know from personal experience. That's right. We ate all this prickly green shit. So pull on your trial kit and grab a knife and fork. We're having a psychedelic cactus for lunch. So the first one, this is the one that kind of calls to me, actually. So this is really cool. Peyote. So peyote is easily the best known psychedelic cacti. Everyone from Jim Morrison to Aldous Huxley to my cousin Simon have experimented with it, and the family moved in one way or another. In Simon's case, he was just moved to take off his clothes on the front lawn. That's hilarious. Peyote is the smallest yet most potent psychedelic cacti and pops up in 2 to 5 inch diameter buttons like bulbs across Mexico and the southwestern United States. Typically, peyote is dried and eaten. The dosage ranges from 6 to 12 buttons, and the trip starts to come on anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour after ingesting, reaching full tilt what the fuck is happening around the 2-hour mark, depending on the potency of the dose and the physiology of the person taking it. The peak effects of peyote are similar to LSD, only different, including euphoria, disorientation, anxiety, ataxia, which is loss of motor skills. For example, you might not be able to walk for a while. Nystagmus, your eyes start doing whatever the hell they want. Depersonalization, you don't even know who you are anymore or if you are anymore. And vivid visual hallucinations. Is that grandma? I thought she was dead. For 500 years, peyote was used by Americans in religious ceremonies, but the white man put a stop to that because he sucks. In 1993, however, the Religious Freedoms Restoration Act came along, and now peyote can be consumed once again by Native Americans as the Great Spirit intended. Very cool.
It is. I like the writing on this as well. Yeah. So the San Pedro, which is the San Pedro is a powerful entheogen that grows literally everywhere. You've probably got some in a pot in your balcony now. Go take a look because it's so ubiquitous. San Pedro is considered a weed. But like that other weed we all know and love, San Pedro can do very interesting things to your brain. I have a friend, a scientist, when the moon is full, will reduce a few feet of San Pedro to an unpalatable, sticky black paste and enjoy an evening of mind-blowing vision. I probably can't explain it, once he told me after one of his nocturnal adventures, but there's something beneath the surface of everyday reality, and it's right under our noses. We just can't see it, man. Groovy, no? Well, San Pedro can also be consumed raw. However, you'll need to peel and eat a piece as long as your forearm. When identifying San Pedro, you should look for a tall columnar, bluish green plant with 6 to 8 shallow ribs, fuzzy white areoles, the bit where the spines, which are yellow in this case, prickle from, huge white flowers that bloom vertically from said areoles. Areolas. There we go. Unlike the roller coaster ride of peyote, a San Pedro experience can take 3 to 4 hours. Come on, and is reportedly quite chill and euphoric, and the occasional mystical vision or emotional breakthrough. Although also worth noting, the San Pedro trip can last anywhere from 10 to 14 hours.
Jesus.
Cultivate San Pedro for its mescaline content. And the San Pedro you might buy at the local nursery may have been likely bred to yield little to no mescaline at all. Your best bet is to find it in the wild or keep your guy selling succulents at your Saturday market. You can't miss him. He looks much happier than all the other vendors.
Hilarious. And the next one is Bolivian torch. Of all the columnar psychedelic cacti, which there are many, Bolivian torch is the one that will most consistently leave you naked on your front lawn. However, despite its mescaline content being the most reliable, not all trippy cactus are created equal. The wondrous and fast-growing Bolivian torch is rarely found outside the area to which it is indigenous. That area being, let me look that up real quick, Bolivia. Most likely, if not at all, psychedelic cacti Bolivian torch has a long history with religious and shamanic ceremony. But these days, folks are taking it just to find out what happens. Would you like to find out what happens? Here's how. Firstly, this guy grows tall, sometimes 15 feet tall, and has 5 to 7 ribs with areola appearing along those ribs every 3 centimeters or so. Sounds pretty much like every cactus you've ever saw a Roadrunner cartoon. But wait, there's more. Bolivian torch boasts some of the longest prickles in the cactus world, sometimes growing as long as 10 centimeters, which makes it look like it was designed by someone that sucks at drawing. As they mature, Bolivian torch will, like San Pedro, display enormous white fragrant flowers that only bloom at night. A Bolivian torch trip isn't as chill as a San Pedro trip. In fact, it's reportedly quite challenging. The first hour or two can be particularly gnarly with unpleasant physical sensations, but if you can get through that, you'll experience strong feelings of being connected to the universe and everything within it. Then, of course, there will be all the wild visual hallucinations as an intense sense of empathy, synesthesia, which is hearing smells and tasting sounds. And if you're really lucky, full tilt ego death. Trips typically last 10 to 12 hours. So you got to be pretty committed to take that, eh?
Oh yeah. That was the Bolivian torch. Well, the Peruvian torch for 3,000 years. The good people of, wait a minute, Peru has used Peruvian torch as a religious sacrament, a medicine for the treatment wounds. Believe it or not, remedy for hair loss. Imagine shipping so hard your hair came back. That's some potent shit. Indeed, Peruvian torch is rumored to be 10 times more powerful than any of its columnar cactus cousins. Looks a hell of a lot like Bolivian torch, but you can't mistake it. Because unlike Bolivian torch, which grows in Bolivia, Peruvian grows at 3,000 meters above sea level on the western side of the Andes. Also, Peruvian torch has shorter spines than its Bolivian cousin and produces an edible apple-like fruit. It actually looks more like dragon fruit than an apple, but who cares? We're here to talk about getting fucked up. Unlike the other psychedelic cacti on this list, Peruvian torch does not get you high. What it does is place you on the back of an enormous green dragon that whisks you around the Andes at the speed of sound. I didn't make that up. That's how the people of Peru have been describing the experience for thousands of years. A batshit crazy dragon ride. When it comes to mescaline potency, there's a lot of variability between cacti species and even cacti coming from the same species. Again, not all cacti are created equal, but Peruvian torch is pretty consistent and won't let you down. Unlike happy-go-lucky San Pedro, Peruvian torch can be intensely emotional, and you might find yourself in the fetal position processing past traumas like that thing that happened Christmas that time. Google Peruvian shaman for hire before cooking this one up.
That's funny, eh? So the next one is Cardon Grande. Cardon Grande, also known as the Artesian sagrero, is the largest cactus on our list. The one you're least likely to tangle with because it's just too big and prickly. Honestly, it's more of an enormous tree than a plant, and getting it into your kitchen would involve removing a wall. Native to South America, flourishing predominantly in the northwest provinces of Argentina, Cardon Grande can grow over 12 feet tall and has branches as thick as a man's waist. Its columnar plant can feature between 8 to 14 ribs, with close-set areola containing many, many long yellow spines. It produces white nocturnal funnel-shaped flowers, and again, it's fucking massive. Cardon Grande trips reports are scarce side and subject to debate in the psychoactive content mescaline or some other compound. However, overall, though, it sounds pretty intense with unsettling visuals and a speedy feeling that leaves you almost grinding your teeth. One psychonaut on Reddit had this to say: I felt really speedy and needed to relax, so I laid down and closed my eyes and started getting visuals, which were mostly swirling green and red clouds of smoke that continually coalesced into the faces of demons, all grinning at me as if to say, well, 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 how did you find yourself here? After all that, I decided to keep my eyes open. He then chose to watch the 1986 goofball comedy, The Three Amigos, and was reduced to tears no less than 6 times. Not tears of laughter, not tears of sorrow. Other people have reported feeling pretty good on Cardon Grande, but it does sound like a bit of a roll of the dice.
So the penis cat, I like that one. That one sounds good, man. But I don't know if I can handle hard stuff. So the penis cactus, I can hardly handle a penis probably. Let's try to get through this last one on our list without being juvenile though, okay? So also known as the San Pedro penis, or the pornographic cactus. The penis cactus is a small mutated form of Bolivian torch that just so happens to look like a big green cock. It comes in 2 forms, short and long. Grow up. It grows quite fast. Grow up. Slower than speedy San Pedro, but way faster than peyote. Honestly, though, they're all sprouting at a snail's pace. So penis cactus can be found in most nurseries around the world. In fact, you probably see one at your local garden and thought, gracious, that looks exactly like the Incredible Hulk's wing. The penis cactus is also known as the Fragel, which is known for German for woman's luck, really. And it grows in clustered groups for 4 or less And topping out at 40-60 centimeters, the penis cactus features just a few areoles at its base with honey-colored spines and is generally cylindrical with just a hint of ribs showing through its considerable and inviting girth. Grow up. The penis cactus is best taken as tea. You only require a chunk, the golf size of a golf ball. You need to dice it up, pop it in a Ziploc bag, freeze it, thaw it, freeze it again, then boil it, strain it, slowly reduce what's left. That's your tea. You're gross. Brown, almost undrinkable tea. A penis cactus is profoundly euphoric. You will experience some supernatural, horrible nausea to begin with, but once that passes, you feel like you scooped up and coddled by the Mother Earth herself. So there you have it, the wonderful world of psychedelic cacti. We definitely do not recommend you hunt down, prepare, and ingest. So good luck.
Yeah. Yeah, you're definitely taking your chances if you've never done it and you go foraging for a psychedelic cactus and you don't know what you're doing. It could get pretty wild.
I like that she suggested about the shaman on the one, because I mean that's my friend is tribal, and to be honest, she's not really into substances. No alcohol, no whatnot. And even with cannabis, is more like a hit or two or whatnot. But peyote, he'll go to a peyote church at times and experience that. And still to this day, he tells me, you got to come and try it sometime, you know? And it's, but they do it privately. They even do the private sessions, not. And I don't know. I'd like that. They do some sweat lodging, some other stuff, and just to do the like take you on a trip. And I don't know. It's very inviting. However, like I would want to smoke weed while I'm doing it, and I believe he told me they don't mix. They don't mix none of it. They don't want that. They just...
Like a lot of other alkaloids, they don't necessarily mix well together. Just because they work well on their own doesn't mean you should mix certain substances. And it's the same with like alcohol and magic mushrooms. You never mix those. I mean, I know people do, but it's not recommended. They're different energies, right? So, you know, if a shaman says no, I would take their advice. They've been doing this a long time and they know kind of what the risks of that could be, right?
Yep. But yeah, so that's it. Thank you for joining us here on Psychedelic Reporters on NLK Network, and for tuning into our video podcast on NLK Network's Rebel and YouTube pages, as well as our social media sites.
That's right, folks. We hope you enjoyed your update today of mainstream media coverage of psychedelic medicine advancements from around the globe.
Many thanks to our sponsors and to my joint hosts, Tara Simpson and Ufo Various, for choosing our stories for us. And to Kim Cooper for helping us produce this show and do all the fancy cool shit. And our listeners, wait, you're over here. Yeah, you. Our listeners for joining each week on Psychedelic Tuesday. Let's hear from Dead Ringer again from Kirkland on our way out. Is that my lines? Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, good night.
Looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of